Are we live now? Oh my goodness.
Man, you miss one day and you start the show like this?
Oh, what a disaster. Folks, what is up? My name is Jack Burkart and welcome to the RotoWire Euro Knockout DFS Strategy Show. I cannot believe what just happened with StreamYard. I have 3 pop-ups up on my screen right now. I swear I hit the intro of Adam Zadroik hitting the guitar. But the good news is we are here and we're alive and we're ready to go. And I successfully avoided divorce. I had a nice time at that concert last night. I am joined, as usual, by Ryan Belongia. And I had so much FOMO, I had to subpoena our good friend Mo Hendy onto the pod. He's a real class act, this one. And I think he had a pretty good day that he wanted to share a little bit with us. Mo, what did you think of the slate today?
Yeah, so as you can see, I was a big fan of today's slate. I felt like today's slate was like a return to the heart of international DFS. No bailout goals, just tons and tons of floor points, lots of clean sheets, like Oblak putting together a performance. I was a big fan of the slate. I really felt like most of Ryan and I's predictions delivered. We saw KDB had a kind of flat game. We saw that some of the value plays really shined today. Conte got robbed of an assist that would have made today an even better day. I think we had the right read on the slate, and I was pleased to see it play out like it did.
Ryan, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we had the right read on the slate. I think, I just ran really bad right at the end. I don't know. I'm glad we have Mo on the show or else I'd just be on here tilting. I mean, I was up like 2,500 going into the shootout, and then the shootout ended and I broke even on the slate. So pretty rough ending. I didn't have Costa, and I had the left back who missed. Yes. So I was getting 5th in the 555 and Mo was cashing 2 for like 1,500. And then there was just a train of Portugal stacks with Costa and the defenders and not the Slovenia defender, and lost by like a fraction of a point. So yeah, tough one to take. Because like Mo said, I think, we kind of nailed the slate. A few things on this slate. Like I don't know, like I didn't really play for the script of massive floors for Ronaldo and Paulinho. Like I did a little bit, but I didn't play for the game to be 0-0 going into the 120th minute, unfortunately. Took a chance on low-owned Mbappe instead of Ronaldo in that high stakes lineup. Didn't work out. Even still, like it should have been a good day. Like all that, it doesn't even matter. I played Kunde, scored 15.6, could have done better. And I think, the Portugal guys, Cancelo and Nuno, like couldn't have really had a better script and caught up. I don't know. I broke even. It's frustrating. Thought I could have won some stuff today. But, at least Mo won some stuff. How'd you do, Jack?
I managed to do all right. Before the late surge of like all the penalty saves and stuff, my single entry team was doing pretty well. I had Mike Maignan, but the Costa and Oblak doing really well. That kind of crushed any hope there. Our boy Yuri Belkovic, him taking a late yellow card for an awfully cynical foul and getting the penalty miss. He still got 6 points, but he maybe should have had like 7 or 8. So that was a little bit. That was tough to stomach overall. I'll go over to cash. I have a grievance with the lobby that I'm going to bring up. Look, I tried not to be like too overconfident, right? Like I'm a mathematician. I understand uncertainty. But when I opened up double ups, I saw that half the field played Kevin De Bruyne, who I quickly dismissed from consideration. We were talking about like other 2v2s. I was thinking a lot about that last night. I really wasn't sweating Kevin De Bruyne too much. He didn't project as well because it's a really tough matchup against France. So that was one knock. There's opportunity costs. You have Ronaldo, Mbappe, and you also have Bruno, who are projecting really well in that neighborhood. So I thought that was another knock. And then you look at this lineup, and someone has to play midfield for Belgium when this lineup comes out. And it wasn't going to be Carrasco playing holding midfielder. And I think Adam nailed that in the Discord. And what I'm guessing happened, I mean, people played Kevin De Bruyne and did well, so maybe I'm just a salty person. But I think people are just like, oh, Kevin De Bruyne, I'll take my set pieces and play from there. And, they land on cheap goalkeeper, or they land on Jules Koundé when I don't think it was like, oh, I'm going to play Koundé, and, I accidentally have enough money for it. So I don't know. It kind of tilts me. I think I thought it was going to be an easy day with De Bruyne busting, but all the cheap people got there, including like João Paulinho, everyone who facilitated that nonsense. I don't know.
Dude,
I just don't think it was a good play.
Oh, you have re-tilted me. I mean, okay, I played 0 De Bruyne today. I think I only had like 20% in showdown too, which is just like crazy, You're just like, sure, he's going to bust that defensive mid. And yeah, these people in the 5-5-5 specifically beat me today with De Bruyne. It's just, I mean, I don't even think they know how bad they are or how lucky they run. And it's like, oh man, I know how some of these guys play, and I swear it's like De Bruyne is the first guy in their lineup. They're just so terrified to fade him, Like, oh my God, convince yourself Paulinho's the nuts. Punt keeper, play the keeper against Paulinho and Ronaldo, who probably won't have big floors unless you get this miracle game script like you got. But, print anyways, sleep good at night, think you're a genius. Like, I mean, kind of how, I was talking yesterday, kind of how it's been going. I mean, yeah, went that way again in high stakes. I don't know. It's annoying for me to see, but I mean, it's, it's not like as bad of a play, obviously, as I'm making it out to be, but also I played 0 KDB today. So I don't know.
Well, shout out to you. I don't know. That's really frustrating, but I guess stuff like that happens. I made something of a questionable decision still. I was really sweating Vitinha. I was talking to you two about it last night. I was like, does he take set pieces? We're like, well, we have a 1 set piece sample where Bruno took the set piece in match 2. What I decided was that if João Paulinho starts, it would be good for Vitinha. He would get a little bit more forward, and he was worth playing. I didn't really like João Cancelo. I think he has this like bimodal range of outcomes where he like collects like 20 a lot of the time and he busts. So I thought Vitinha could get a floor based on shots. So I opted to make room for him. The 2v2 was like Oblak and playing Oblak and Vitinha versus playing Costa and João Cancelo or Nuno Mendes. I forget who I had room for. I don't know. Do you think I forced it with Vitinha too much? Should I have just maybe gone with a 3-defender build? I'm curious what you thought of the decision to go with Vitinha in cash.
Well, I mean, if he, I don't know who you were asking, but if he would have played 90 minutes, I mean, he would have smashed. And
that's unlucky. That was ridiculous. I thought
nobody played him. Right. That's pretty unlucky. I agree. I know other people I talked to played Vitinha too. I actually played him in the 555. I wasn't over the field in the main GPP, but yeah, I thought he was a good play. I almost played him in cash. Yeah, just another note, just an aside, like Bruno a lot of times was going to bust hard today. So just like remember that going forward. I played a lot of Bruno today, and of course he did not. He wasn't taking corners when Vitinha was out there. Vitinha and Bernardo Silva had all of them, and Bruno was very deep a lot of times. So we'll see going forward.
Yeah, Vitinha and Cancelo are probably the 2 biggest calls that I got wrong. And I did get them wrong because I really stand by the fact that if Vitinha is the one going 90 or 90 plus, we're talking about a 15-20 game. I mean, he took every set to start this game. He took his left side, he took the free kick, and he wasn't doing bad, right? But it just seems to be the mode I've seen now in 2 games where the senior people push him off, right? So in that first game, it was Bruno pushing him off sets and taking over. Today, it was Ronaldo wanting to shoot from stupid angles.
Ridiculous.
And so he just gets pushed to the periphery of the game. And today it was even like Cancelo finally deciding like, I'm going to play as a winger and Vitinha will just clean up. And maybe Roberto Martinez realized like, the way I've been playing Cancelo doesn't work. He doesn't do well, and I'm just going to let him be the winger that he is. But those are kind of things where the script was there. He had the role on sets. We saw him clean up a lot of plays with easy shots. I mean, the path was there, and it just all came to a screeching halt with the 68-minute sub. So, you just got to take the L there. And it was probably a costlier one given his salary.
Dude, I played Vitinha and Mbappe in the 555 and missed cashing by half a point.
Yeah.
They both busted hard. I mean, come on. The other thing I just thought of, who cost me more money maybe than anyone today? Ben Sesko.
He's awful, Ryan. I'm
finish.
sorry.
Just score. Costa busts. There's no clean sheet for defenders. I'm not kidding. It's like a 10K swing. It's just unbelievable all the things that went wrong again. And
Sesko costs Ryan even when he doesn't play.
It's unreal, really.
I think he's a new candidate for the DFS Axis of Evil. And in his young career, it's pretty impressive stuff from young Ben Sesko. I'll see you in Highbury and Islington. He'll look great in a red Arsenal shirt, whiffing them at the new White Hart Lane. All right, we've spent 10 minutes. I hope that us analyzing some of these slates, we can complain a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit funny, but I think there's some, we're trying to find some actionable takeaways that can make us a little bit better. We're going to have to play this Portugal team again, and we're going to have to get Vitinha, João Cancelo, and all these guys. So hopefully we can apply these lessons in the future slates. But we are going to look forward to the slate for July 2nd. I got to update the background graphic right here. We have the Netherlands against Romania. The Netherlands are about 70% implied win probability, about 50% clean sheet odds, just shy of a 2 implied goal total, whatever good that means. All these matches seem to be hitting the under. This figures to be a very good spot for the Netherlands, who are, when they are playing well, a possession-based team, and Romania will probably sit back. So guys like Cody Gakpo and Memphis Depay are going to be on the table. And then our second match, which I'm looking forward to, is going to be Austria, our analytic kings, hashtag Ralph Ragnick. Austria are about 50% favorites against Turkey. I think it's pretty well deserved, and there's going to be some interesting plays on both sides. I think Hakan has a yellow card suspension, which means that we're expecting Arda Güler to play and take a set-piece monopoly. So that is going to be an exciting item to talk about. Mo, you're our guest. What stood out about the slate when you opened it?
First, shout out for the culturally appropriate pronunciation. We love to see it. As Ryan saw yesterday, I dodged every single bomb possible on pronunciation. So kudos to you for diving in head first, Jack. So thoughts on the slate. I think it looks like a fun one to me. Obviously, the Netherlands versus Romania is going to be one that you'd expect to go in one direction, but we've seen the Romanians play very impressively this tournament. People are going to have certainly a lot of interest in one man who continues to be incorrectly priced for who knows what reason. But, there'll be opportunities for kind of leverage and exciting plays elsewhere as well. And then Austria-Turkey, I'm not going to say that the odds here are wrong. They're probably right. But this Turkey team has been hot and cold, right? With that first game, they looked absolutely spectacular. And, we had the banger from Arda. We had some other great, really performances. And then the next game was very poor. So don't really know what to expect from that yet, but I think it'll be exciting. That's my initial read. Ryan, what are you thinking?
Sorry, I got distracted by some people arguing about Sesko in the chat. It just bothered me. If Arsenal signs Sesko for $100 million, I'll crack a beer and celebrate. I agree with you, Ozzy. 6'5" striker who can dribble. Did you see him blow by Pepe? And even the shots he took in this tournament, he kind of strikes the ball like Ronaldo a bit. But anyways, he's just turned 21 a few weeks ago, so don't write him off yet. These games, Yeah, I agree. The Netherlands, I mean, it's just a spot where they're going to dominate possession and create most of the chances, sort of like the Portugal spot today. Veerman out, so we should get Depay on the sets. And then, Turkey don't have Çalhanoğlu in the other game. So you said Goulet Monopoly, but I don't know. I could see him splitting with, if they want right foot sets, he would split with someone. I feel like he would split with Kuchku in that lineup, but
yeah, Kuchku on the table. That's
would
true.
have to check. I've also seen Kuchku hasn't really been playing. I've seen lineups with him not starting. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I agree with what Jack said about the odds in that match. Austria's been playing well, but could also see it being back and forth just with the way Austria play, kind of like the way that the Netherlands game was. Turkey have goals in them, a lot of talented players on. Turkey or I don't know exactly how they're saying it, but yeah, I kind of like their team. I like some of their players for DFS too. We've seen these games today, the last couple days, that are just pretty dull and teams playing really conservative and not a lot of goals or great chances. And so that might be how they continue to go. But, if one game is going to go back and forth, I could see it being that Austria game.
I completely agree. When I was thinking about this game, I think we know that Austria are going to prefer a high tempo approach in neutral scripts. And then they will defend a little bit more, but then Turkey are going to attack, I think. This is a team that I think wants to attack. So I think in just about any game script, if Turkey get an early goal, Austria is going to look good. I think Austria is going to increase tempo from the start. This seems like a good game environment for fantasy overall. So I agree with that take overall. Just looking at these teams, we do want to anticipate subs a little bit. On the Romania side, we have Mihaila and Dennis Mann on the wings, but we could see other players. I forget, like Haggis. I don't know. There's other players we can see on the Romanian wings that might be DFS relevant in the 4K range. So that's one thing to be on the lookout for. On the Netherlands, I think the key pivot point here is who's going to play right forward for them. Right now we have Daniel Malin in, but we could see Jeremy Frimpong in, and he's defender eligible. He'll only play 65 minutes, but it's a completely different thing when he's 6,200 and defender eligible. Austria could make some things. We see Patrick Wimmer. I hope not. Oh, he's suspended. Thank God. We don't have to worry about that. And then Turkey have a lot of attackers. Do you see any possible changes in these lineups that we should be thinking about when studying the slate? Ryan?
No, just what you said. Is it going to be Frimpong or Malin? I think that's really that's the only spot that's up for debate with Netherlands. I think the Austria lineup is pretty much nailed on. You might get Schmid. I guess Schmid could start over one of those midfielders, but I don't think so. And then, who would it be for if Kuchku didn't start? I saw another midfielder. I don't know. But, I thought it would be. I don't know why he hadn't been playing. I figured he would start. So I don't know. I kind of agree with our lineup. What do you think, Mo?
Well, Jack, I noticed that you didn't mention the heart of Turkey's golden generation, Cenk Tosun, who put them in this situation. So, he's always a contender. Look, Barris Yilmaz we've said this many times, he isn't a real striker. He floats off to the wing. He kind of plays a little bit of hold up ball, which is good for the team, but he doesn't have the mold of a striker. So there's a lot of folks that they've now tried, including I think Akgun played a game. I think that we saw Kerem, I forgot his last name, but the Galatasaray winger. So there's a lot of ways they could go there. I think Kokchu's performances so far have been subpar. I think he's coming off a season where he hasn't been that great for Benfica. So I think he's kind of held on to his spot just by reputation. But I think it's at least 50-50 that he doesn't make the cut for the next game and they switch it up. And where they go with that, I don't know. Like I said, there's some candidates, but certainly I think his spot is under threat.
Good stuff all around. Let's start digging into the forward position. I have a feeling this is going to be a boring day for cash games because the way salary dynamics work out, I feel like we're going to open up double ups and see 90-95% for Cody Gakpo and Memphis Depay. Memphis Depay, 8,900 in a really good spot, taking set pieces with no Veerman. That just seems like a no-brainer. And you're really not going to struggle to find salary for Cody Gakpo, who has an elite open play floor in this tournament so far. Mo, I'm just going to swing it back to you, and then we'll go to Ryan. But is it just as easy as we're going to click the two Dutch forwards? I think they're clearly the best plays at the forward position.
Yeah, I agree with you that they're the best plays, and I think we'll see a lot of them. I just like so many of the other names that I think they're going to be in the mix too. I don't know if people try to fit three of them, and get some of them in utility. I don't know if, Gakpo gets moved to midfield. But Sabitzer is going to be obviously very tempting. He's also midfield eligible, right? Yeah. So, he's kind of in the mix there. And then, whoever ends up leading the line for Turkey is going to be cheap. I saw Yildiz is 4.5, I think. And that's going to be, a play where, he's 6.4 here. So who's for 4.5? I wrote 4.5 for somebody. But whoever ends up leading the line for Turkey, I think I'm going to be slightly tempted by, maybe that's more of a GPP. It almost certainly is more of a GPP because the guys you mentioned are going to should comfortably get there in cash. But at least in GPP, there's some interest. That's my take. Ryan, what do you think on that?
Yeah, it's a great tournament slate. For cash, it's like how can you not play Gakpo and Depay and or Sabitzer? Like all three of them, you for sure have to have two of them. But yeah, I agree. I like a lot of the other forwards too for tournaments. Everyone in the Austria-Turkey game. Yeah, I don't know. I just think, people are going to do the same thing in cash games and just start with Gakpo and Depay, but I don't see how you don't do that,
Yeah, me neither, especially in cash. So it just has me thinking it's a two-match slate. So, is there trying to think about fragility in Gakpo and Memphis' range of outcomes. And I really have a tough time seeing it. If Veerman started, then, Memphis has the short guy center forward syndrome where sometimes he loses a little bit of floor. But with set pieces, I don't know. I feel like that's not a great fade. And I guess Gakpo is a little bit expensive at 9.8K. I just am not really sweating the opportunity cost nearly as much. But maybe you just play one of them in GPPs, and then you maybe try to play a Christoph Baumgartner, I'm not going to say no one, it's a two-match slate, but Christoph Baumgartner is going to be someone who you can play, or you can go to one of the cheaper Turkey A options, and then you might have the benefit of a game script. So maybe only playing one piece, hoping that Gakpo only scores like 9 points, which would be fine for cash. That may be something that you could try to do, and then hope the other match goes nuke. That's my first thought after looking at this for just a couple hours.
Definitely just playing one of them, I think, is good for GPPs. Both of them can fail. Depay can get subbed. Depay can get subbed on like 10 points, And even Gakpo can score like 12 at that price tag if you get goals from other spots. Also, you might get a popular punt to fail, and you might then a more balanced construction might work too. So, yeah, it's fun for tournaments.
Any additional GPP takes, Mo, at the forward position?
No, not at the forward position. Akgun was the guy I was thinking of. like I said, I really like Romania, but I gotta say a lot of their excitement appears to be priced in. So I think that's where my interest is. On midfield, I think there is a good amount to be excited about, though.
Well, why don't we dig into midfield then? Marcel Sabitzer shows up in the cheat sheet as midfield only, but you can play him as a forward player in this tournament for reasons unbeknownst to me. Arda Güler is going to be a really popular option at 8,300. I said set piece monopoly earlier. I thought I saw him take corners on both sides, even with Hakan on. I don't know if that was a function of game script, but let's just say at worst set piece split, and then maybe some people take out of it. Either way, I think he's been a really good player on a per minute basis. So one of the top plays of the slate overall. And then I think you're kind of scrolling down after that, at least when thinking about cash games. There's some mid-range guys we can talk about for GPPs, but guys that project well in my first. Oh, I'm killing Mo right here. Mo, why don't you take it away?
No, I just forgot. We've gone through the entire forward selection, and we didn't mention your bailout specialist, Arnautovic.
Oh, you got to let me keep my secrets on Marco Arnautovic. He cost 7,400. Not a bad play in this spot. That's 2,400 on Cody Gakpo, and you might be able to avoid a punt in a key spot. I would rather play Baumgartner, though. I think Baumgartner's midfield so Marco is the play.
This reminds me of Ryan's opening segment of yesterday's pod, where he said, folks need to go to church and be thankful for their incredible luck. We had in that game where Arnautovic scored that penalty. I mean, he was on nothing. He was on like one, maybe negative, and he was literally the sub was at the touchline. The board was getting ready to go up, and then it's PK goal. Party time for everybody who played him at whatever silly low salary he was at. He wasn't even that low salary. I think it was like 6K or something. But look, to get back on track, Baumgartner is a guy that I think I'm going to have a lot of interest in tournaments. I've made it my thing to pick out stats that I really like. And the guy has 16 goals in 41 appearances, 5 straight going into the tournament. I mean, it's crazy numbers for a midfielder, especially in a country that produces pretty decent talent. And so, he's going to get into the spots. He's going to give you the floor of a midfielder while having the production of a forward. Is really tempting. On this slate, I mean, he's priced up and there's a lot of other really good options. So you might have some trouble getting there. But Baumgartner is going to be someone that's really interesting. And then finally, last one I'll mention before I pass it along, Stanku, again, 3.4. We know he has sets for Romania. We know Romania attack. We know they're not going to lie over. He has to do very little to meet value. And so in just about every format, it's going to be very difficult to justify not playing him unless, like Ryan said, he misses and then you've got leverage there. But that's my thoughts for now. Ryan, what are you seeing else in midfield?
Yeah, besides I like Baumgartner too. Same reasons that you said, and I don't think he'll be very popular, so that's a good tournament play. Xavi Simons, I think, be a pretty good tournament play at 7,800 if he starts over Dumfries. And then Stanchu, he's probably going to be the popular punt, right? Down to 3,400 again. He scored 2.8 against Slovakia in 90 minutes in a game that was pretty open. And his 2.8 was like 2 of that was from a shot on goal. 5 against a Belgium team that gives up floor. I mean, so far from a lock. I think you can fade in tournaments for sure, especially because there's some other punts or even mid-range guys, but other punts I like might be 1 or 2 guys on Turkey. I can steal Jack's thunder with this one because I actually had 33% Ferdi Kadioglu on the last slate, and he was like 2% owned. People wanted to play Czech Republic punts, and I forget who else was on that slate, but he's a winger. He came up as a winger. I mean, he's playing left back now, but when he attacks, I mean, he's an attacker. So, you might get some crosses and shots assisted and stuff there. I mean, I just think there's guys that can beat Stanchu, but also, like, he's a good play, too, for 3,400. I mean, he should get some chances to score and assist. Like, not a lot because it's a tough spot against Netherlands, but he's very cheap. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, Stanchu just didn't get any set pieces in the previous match. I'll probably just play him in cash just because he's very cheap. But I do agree on the fragility, Ryan. The wingers are doing a lot of work for Romania. Stanchu is not on penalties. You have one of the Marins on pen. So I think that leads a lot of fragility. Ryan, it's like you hacked into my computer. The machine, Ferdi Kadioglu was popping. I'm like, what is going on over here? So I'm glad you gave context there. I think he's a pretty good play at 4,100, and I already said I like that game script. He's someone who, depending on what you want to do at defender, I think you could play two cheap midfielders, maybe a little bit crazy, but you would be able to play good fullbacks and spend up at goalkeeper if you wanted to. So he's even in the cash pool for me, Ryan. And you could just IKB, I know better, and play Ferdi Kadioglu over Nikolai Stanchu. So I'm just going to echo that take right there. I would like to offer a GPP leverage take. He costs 5,600, and I don't think many people are going to be building lineups that spend at a midfielder spot in that price range. But Tijani Reinders, and my apologies to him for butchering that name, he's a player I've seen get into good positions in this tournament. He plays a good amount of minutes for the Dutch midfield. And I think he has maybe a random goal in him. We've seen like the Mert Muldoers of the world score goals. Just purely an ownership play in larger fields and a way to play the Dutch team in a way that might be a little bit lower owned. I don't know. What do you think of that? Is that too terrible?
No. I think it's a good shout in this spot. Just because I was surprised how often I saw him in the box. Now I don't know if that was a function of being out there with Veerman and Schotten, but I don't know. I think it probably happened without them too. Like, Schotten will be the guy who's more defensive, and it's a soft matchup. So yeah, I don't mind that.
I never know in the chat if Bear is trying to trip us up with his pronunciation guides or if they're actually real. I'm just going to go with Reinders. People who interleague know like the Reinders dilemma regularly because for Milan, he's this like unpredictable type of player who, you're going to get a lot of games where it's just 3, 4, or 5. And then other games, he's going to start taking sets. He's going to hit a beautiful goal. He'll give you a 20-pointer. It just is kind of a tough call. So I think it's a great shout. I think he could definitely have a ceiling game that just puts you up and above the rest. One last one that I wanted to flag. We saw Prass for Austria take sets and really get in the mix. And I think he was starting at fullback, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong there. But he is somebody who at 4K could very easily pay off his salary. And, I think he subbed on, or maybe he was playing in place of Mwene, who I don't know what his status is, but he could still be recovering. What are y'all's thoughts there? I mean, he might end up taking that punt spot for me for Stanku if he starts. He might also just be somebody I really want. Do you guys know if there's any chance of him starting? And then if he is, how do you feel about the play?
I don't know if he starts, but I agree with you. I mean, wasn't he live for some set pieces? He might have even taken a set piece in the previous match. So, I mean, he's a better play than Stanchu than if he starts in a way, but maybe you just don't get the full 90 minutes. I didn't see him in projected 11s, but if he's there, I'm interested. What do you think, Ryan?
He started over Mwene, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think he started over Mwene. So, I mean, yeah, if that happened again, I agree. Yeah, he would be playing left back or whatever. Yeah, I think that would be fine. Doesn't really seem like he's going to start, but But yeah, if he did, I mean, it's a similar. He's like similar, like Kadioglu, a left back for that same price. That put some crosses in. Yeah, I know.
Am I out of bounds if I think he might take some? Am I out of bounds if I think he might take some set pieces? It's something that he did a little bit in qualifying. Ozzy says Sabitzer should have a monopoly. I mean, I think he just does that because he's the alpha dog on the team. I think there's other guys who maybe take for club that might take at least one side. So
yeah, I don't think Sabitzer took sets in the first half of the last game, if I remember correctly. I mean, Prass took some, and I think Romano Schmid took one. So, I mean, yeah, like it's not just Sabitzer monopoly no matter what.
Yeah, I've seen Wimmer get in the mix, as we see here, a lot. Like, certainly when Wimmer subbed on in game 1, he took first priority. I think for game 2, it was the same story. Didn't plan out in game 3. But, yeah, the sets are in flux. But regardless, he's going to be an attacking fullback for a favored team. I just looked at the Google News. He was dealing with an injury, and when I was dealing with an injury, I've seen it described as head cold. So maybe it was just a cold, and he is fully recovered now. Although when I subbed off early in game 2 as well, and then we didn't see him in game 3. So that's something I'll have to dig into. But I just think as an attacking fullback playing in midfield, I'm gonna have some interest.
I think it's a good shout, and I don't think the $600 matters too much. It hasn't mattered to me when I'm building lineups. Like there's no one who seems like a must at the defender position to me. Maybe you would disagree, but you can easily just change up your defenders a little bit or change up your goalkeeper if that's something that you want to do. No set piece taking defenders, I think. Maybe we can get into the defender position. You can go back to midfield if I missed something. So we'll talk about Frimpong separately at 6,200. He's a player who I find difficult to project, but super talented. Right now, we're not projecting him in. And some of the more expensive options available to us, we have Mwene at 5,400. He's a player who subbed off early, like you said, Mo, so that's tough to feel good about. I think Mert Muldur is fine at 4,900. He's an attacking player, scored a goal in the first match. Not that I expect that again. I'm always happy to pay 4,200 for Stephen Posch. Virgil van Dijk might be the penalty taker. And then you can keep on scrolling down, and there's options worth playing. I think there's a $2,600 fullback for Romania who we might see start. Vasily Mogos. So my apologies for mispronouncing his name. I think he's a player who crosses like 3 times at club level in Romania, albeit, but someone who's on the table as a punt. Ryan, is there any player that's screaming "play me" on the board if it's not Frimpong starting?
No. Which is kind of annoying. It's nice to have defenders you like. Frimpong would really change the slate, change the construction if you want to play him. And yeah, it's the type of guy who's like, if he busts, he's going to ruin your lineup, but he could score 20 points and you're going to need him. Yeah, Posh for 4,200 seems okay. He's quite a bit cheaper than Mwene if he was the other fullback, and I think they're very similar. Yeah, you mentioned Mulder. It's a little bit expensive for a guy that really doesn't have much of a floor. $4,800 Ake is a little bit too expensive. Maybe the spot's good enough where he can pull like a Paulinho. We see him get up pretty far forward and create some chances in these spots. Probably more of a tournament play, though. Van Dijk, 3,700. Yeah, you mentioned still not sure if him or Depay would take the pen. And then, yeah, Romania is going to have a $2,600 fullback. Not for sure. I guess there's a chance that Ceresco would start. He's midfield eligible. But yeah, this Mogos is a right back, even like a right wing back sometimes. We'll have to see where they put them, because Ratu is a right back as well. But I guess he could move to left back or not. I don't know. I mean, you feel like you'd want, right back is going to be better for both of them. Who's ever right back is going to be better for both of them. And even him at 3,600 Ratio, like it's not the worst, but his teammates 10K or 10 or 1,000 cheaper. So yeah, I think that's fine. I don't know. That's kind of an annoying thing about this slate is there's not really defenders you want to prioritize. I don't know. What do you think, Mo?
Yeah, I think that's all right. There's certainly no one that's jumping off the page as, oh, I've got to play him. I do think it is worth noting that at least Rateu or Ratio has been pretty fearless this tournament. I mean, he had 2 shots on goal in the last game for Slovakia. In Ukraine, he had his blue hair, and you couldn't tell if he was Ukrainian or if he was Romanian. But the floor has been there, and at 3.6, it's dirt cheap. I imagine it will be a similar script, similar story for Mogos. I think fundamentally I have interest in all of the fullbacks except the Netherlands fullbacks. The Netherlands fullbacks are the ones who are overpriced, and in the case of Dumfries, they're not defender eligible. And in the case of Ake, they're like a center back who just occasionally marauders forward and has a perfect assist and then makes you regret not playing him, but otherwise is playing back. So I think we've covered really everything at defender. One thing worth noting, I don't know if you'll have the salary for it, but Mulder has been very impressive in his position. I mean, he had that very impressive goal against Georgia, just absolutely whacked it, I believe, from like the edge of the box or something. Didn't follow it up with the most impressive performance versus Czech Republic, but he still did his part. I think I'm just going to be salary constrained here because I think there's other plays I'd rather put my money towards. But if by some miracle I've got the money to spend, I think I'll have some interest.
I think I'll play some Mert Mulder and GPPs. I think there's ways to get there using the cheap midfielders, and I like the game environment. So that's good enough for me to take a stab if I like the game script. Just one last word on Jeremy Frimpong. I'm just thinking about João Cancelo, and I played Jeremy Frimpong in some like Bundesliga slates before and some Europa League, and like the Jeremy Frimpong experience is very much like the João Cancelo experience, perhaps with a little bit more sub risk. So just a frustrating player, but might be worth playing at 6,200 just because he has unmatched ceiling at the position. I don't know, though. I'm not the right person to ask about Frimpong. A lot of players who I respect for, I think, like knowing ball a little bit more, like Jam Frimpong. And I just don't, when I try to project him, he kind of has a mid projection due to minutes. So it's a player I don't really know what to do about, to be quite honest. Do you have any Frimpong thoughts, Mo?
Was that to me or was that to Ryan?
That was to you.
Oh, okay. He had a whopping 2.9 floor points last game, right, versus France. So you've seen the worst case. I do think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's pretty similar to Cancelo. I think I spent a lot of yesterday's pod bashing Cancelo, and then it was just the perfect script for him. And I think minus a yellow card, he may have gone on to have an even bigger day. I mean, he was just absolutely dominating. I remember I was watching Cancelo today, and I was like, please get into the box so that your pass doesn't count as a cross. And it happened like 3 times or so because he was just dominating, and I was listening to the position of just hoping that his great play wasn't going to be rewarded with points. I've only seen Frimpong occasionally. I know he's super pacey, super talented. Definitely with the other options on this slate, I think he'll be a GPP option. I do think the salary is rich, right? And I do think I'm having to give up a lot to fit it. So my exposure will be low, but if he gets there, I wouldn't be surprised.
Your exposure may be low and the pain might be max. Ryan, any final takes about defender?
No.
Good. You can break down goalkeeper for us. For goalkeeper, I'm kidding. For goalkeeper, we got Spend Up Bart for Bruggen at 5,800, Pence at 5,300, and then I have just relearned to trust the process and click the cheap goalkeeper. I had a great pump up talk with Mo, who made me go over my data, and maybe I'll just play Nita at 3,700 and get my 22 points. Like seems to always happen with the cheap goalkeeper. Austrian aggressive team, so I don't mind playing Mert Gunak either. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on the goalkeeper position. I really am starting to believe less and less in spending up, because how does Bart Verbruggen get there? I don't really feel like it's a huge shots on goal spree from this Romania team. I feel like the ceiling isn't spending down and then finding that ceiling performance from the goalkeeper and then having 2,000 extra to play with. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Mo and I said it yesterday. More and more, that's what people are doing. I played Oblak in cash today. I played Oblak in high stakes. Nita was the guy I clicked originally. But yeah, say it again. It's just waiting for him to score like neg 6 or, a guy in one of these spots. And but yeah, for cash, I think spending down is probably the move. Gunuk, or however you say his name, seems fine too at 4,200. For Bruggen, yeah, I know what you mean. It seems tougher these days for the spend up keeper to get there. But Netherlands aren't like world beaters. He has like a 16-point ceiling. We saw it on a couple of slates where the spend up keeper was still the move. But yeah, pay down most likely.
What do you think about goalkeeper, Mo?
So I think, like you said, we've talked a little bit about the analytics or what the data shows on underdog keepers and so on. I think I don't mind paying up occasionally at keeper for good keepers, right? Like we've seen Ederson continuously fail in really plum spots because, and might be controversial take, he's just not a good saving keeper. He's good with his feet, but he does not fill you with confidence. And we've seen today someone like Costa, who is a otherwise elite keeper, just absolutely willing all sorts of people who paid up for him back into the money with 3 phenomenal shootout saves, And so the argument there, I think, is a little bit more nuanced. But here we're talking about Verbruggen, who just frankly for Brighton, I've just never been impressed. I feel like there's been so many spots where he should be holding on to a clean sheet and he doesn't. And then Pence, who I just don't know his pedigree. Those are 2 guys who are not going to impress me. I'm curious, Jack, can you scroll up to the clean sheet odds for these 2 games? I just want to see what they're being placed at. Yeah. So, I mean, this is something that I think is worth noting. Yesterday, when we were looking at France and we were looking at Portugal, we were talking about 50% clean sheet odds or so. I think that's what the numbers were. And so, obviously slate to slate, different factors and so on. But, we're being asked to pay a premium price for not the same premium positioning, And on the flip side, we've got 2 keepers who've shown they can do it, right? I don't know who Nita plays for and what his history is, but I do know that in 2 games now, he's had double-digit Sparta Prague. There we go. Appreciate that. In 2 games now, we've had double-digit points, and we've had high save volume, right? I lean a little bit more Nita than I do Ganuk. I think if you scroll down to the keeper box here, that first game, Bahinder had a -4. It's a different keeper, but you got to keep in mind, it was the same team otherwise. And so you really can't be sure what you're going to get there. So I lean a little bit more Nita. Both are in play. That's my thoughts.
I will say that when I can pay 3,700 for Jan Oblak, who's one of the best goalkeepers I've ever seen play the position, it's a little bit easier than playing, 36-year-olds who play in maybe a non-elite domestic league. Sometimes I've wondered this, like when I just do the spend down a keeper method, they do have to be competent to some extent, right? They can't allow easy goals in. And it works in the Premier League, right? Because, Fulham's keeper is Bernd Leno, who's a good keeper. And even if Fulham kind of stink, they have a good keeper between the sticks. But it seems like Nita's shown enough that he can make some saves. Just one thing worth considering, I think, we're just used to everyone being talented in Premier League DFS, but sometimes when we go off script and we go off into, Champions League or Europa League land or international, you might just be playing bad goalkeepers, and that type of risk isn't priced in.
I agree with you guys.
Love to hear it. 50 minutes. I think some great alpha on the show. A lot of good information for the people. Any last words? Including argument.
Bear is telling us that Turkey's keeper is getting subbed at half. So there you go. Don't play Turkey's keeper. Bear said it. It's done.
I don't even know what that means. I think to be fair, Bear has maybe made some claims that might not have been necessarily true, such as with the Germany penalty takers. So I'm going to fact check that, and I'll post that in the Discord. Ryan. Sorry, Mo.
I just had one note, which was I was just imagining when Ryan was talking about Sesko earlier, like a Havertz-Sesko partnership just being the most infuriating, frustrating thing possible. And I was like, I absolutely wish that upon all my Arsenal fans. Like, please indulge it, get the most wasteful partnership ever, and make our lives better. So if you wanted a parting shot that has nothing to do with this slate, there it is.
Oh, man. Poor Ryan.
Oh, man. Be careful what you guys wish for. Archie Gray taking you to the promised land.
Tottenham Hotspur legend.
I kind of like Archie Gray, by the way, just from what I've seen.
Well,
Jack, do you have a take that actually has something to do with the slate for tomorrow?
Do I have a take that has something to do with the slate tomorrow? What I'll say is don't be afraid to spend down at midfield twice. I like Reinders as a GPP option, and even guys like Grilic and Seawald. I think those are names that you can maybe click as one-offs in a 20 set.
No, I was even going to say now Lamer's the guy over Grilic and Seawald. They're fine too.
Sure, they're on the same range.
But yeah, Lamer is like he's got no floor, but like he'll have one or two really good chances. He should have scored. He had a breakaway might have been 2 games ago. And he will play further forward than Seawald and Grilic. So it's like one of those 4% owned guys.
We call it the Conte narrative.
Please, Opta, it's not too late to give N'Golo Conte his assists, so I can cash in the $3 23-man double ups. I don't know. That's my terrible take. Spend down twice at midfield and spend up for the weird defenders that no one really wants to play, and then make all the money. Thank you, folks, so much. We have a couple days break. We'll be back, I think, on Thursday to preview the Friday slate. We're almost done with these shows. Thank you all so much for the support. Join us, RotoWire.com/soccer trial if you have not already. Maybe you might want to wait a little bit at this point, but you should certainly join us for Premier League. We will be full engines blowing at Premier League, and we have all sports covered at RotoWire.com. Join us in the Discord, RotoWire.com/chat. Like, subscribe, comments, all that fun stuff. We will see you later in the week, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck.